Morning with my Winnie the Pooh mug. So here we are, Sunday morning rant. Oh dear. I'm probably going to keep this quite short this morning. I haven't really got an awful lot to say about very many things that are going on at the moment. A couple of things sort of spring to mind, so I'm just going to sort of like bang on say them as it comes into my head. Did anyone else see the video of Jean-Micheal this week? I think it was this week, it might have been last week actually, but there was a video of Jean-Micheal standing on stage with this beastie on his, so if you're looking at Jean-Micheal on stage, he had a master keyboard below, this was the keyboard above. Okay, so he's obviously moving into the System-8. I suspect he's got the Jupiter sound bank loaded, and he's probably got one of the other sound banks loaded given the sounds that are coming out. But yeah, Jean-Micheal is now a System-8 user. There's also a whole bunch of other stuff that I've seen with System-8, so I've seen a whole bunch of videos from Ed Diaz, sort of wandering around saying, hey, you know, this is this, in the true Ed Diaz style. Don't get me wrong, Ed Diaz is a very cool resource when you're actually looking for how these things work. So, you know, by all means, go and find him out on YouTube, and you should find things you never knew about the System-8. At some point I will start to give you my experience of the System-8. I wouldn't say it's gone smoothly so far, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the System-8, it just means I probably haven't put time into it yet to actually understand what's going on. But my personal view is I still do not regret buying the damn thing. I think it is so it's so easy to modify sounds here with the sliders, and the one thing I do really like about this over and above the System 1 is that when you change a slider volume, a slider value, that value is actually represented in the screen, so you know if you're just trying to fine tune the value, you know roughly where it is, whereas the System 1 it was more hit and miss, you know, approximation. So if you're just trying to hit a specific value, it's very easy on there because you know where it is. But that's all I'm going to say on that. The other thing I'm going to move on to is probably the two questions that get asked the most on the channel, either in comments or privately messaged to me, is number one, where do I get my keyboard covers from? And number two, where did I get my racking from? So I'm going to start with racking first, okay? So if I lift my System-8 up, oof, like that, as you can see underneath there is a 40mm pipe. That's chrome pipe, okay? And it comes, it's actually drum stand, okay? It's not really designed for keyboards, it was designed for drummers. And it was designed to build a cage around the drummer, and then you obviously mount all the toms and cymbals and crashes, etc. on the cage you build. Okay, I use it for keyboards. The reason I use it for keyboards is it's incredibly strong. Okay, and just to give you an idea, that's a clamp. That this particular clamp hasn't been out of the box because I bought it to do something. I haven't really done it, but this is actually a clamp to hold a music stand. And the idea was to put a music stand in up there, but doesn't quite work in here. But that's the name of the company, Gibraltar. They're American, so West Coast. Okay, and as I said, it's incredibly strong. I did a video a little while back, probably over a year now, where I actually did dips on the stand itself, just to show you how strong it is. And I'm currently clocking in just about 17 stone, so that gives you a rough idea of how much weight was being put on it. The other great thing about it is if you gig, which I don't, and people who watch the channel know I don't gig, is the fact that if you want to break this down, when I moved studios it was so easy, because it was literally two clamps on one side, two clamps on the other side, out comes all the crossbars, and then the keyboard stand itself ends up with two side panels that flat pack and the crossbars that are just flat pack, so you can move it around very, very, very easily. And putting it back together again is literally no more than about 3 or 4 minutes to put it back together. It takes you more time to plug the wires into the keyboards than it does to actually put the keyboard stand up. But it is incredibly strong, which is something I wanted. I can be a little bit heavy-handed on the keyboard, so I just wanted something that didn't move around. And I always found that when you get up to the third layer here on traditional keyboard stands, you know, by the time you're doing that, the keyboard is oscillating, something like that, because of the way the stands create that third tier. So I wanted something that was absolutely solid, and as you can see, no movement whatsoever. So that's the keyboard stand. The other thing that I get asked a lot about is keyboard covers. And as you can see, and again if you follow me on my channel, you'll know that I spend one of my key pieces of advice is, as soon as you get your keyboard, get a cover for it, because it protects it from the dust. Now I know this one's not covered up. Actually the keyboard cover has been delivered. I just haven't got it out of the bag yet. So by the time this evening comes along, this will have a nice red cover on top of it as well. So these are the keyboard covers, okay? So this is a keyboard cover. They're made to measure. Every one of my keyboard covers is made to measure. It comes from a company called Piano Covers Online. Okay, with a www and a .co.uk at the end. Okay, that's who makes my keyboard covers. Every one of these is, as I say, made to measure. If you ask for, so when you go on the website, they will ask you what keyboard it is for, so you tell them which keyboard, which manufacturer. Now, most of my equipment in the studio is predominantly Yamaha, Roland or Korg. So for all my Yamaha and Roland ones, they actually sew on the tag as well. So I've got a Roland one, there's a sort of nifty little Roland tag. On the Yamaha one, they've got the Yamaha symbol. For whatever reason, they don't do it with Korg, so maybe they don't have a licensing deal with Korg, maybe that's what it is. But that's them. The other thing I tend to do with these is they make covers in three different varieties. So they make just a sort of cover, so that's a cover for your keyboard, okay? There's no protection on that cover. Then they make these. So this is a 4mm padded, okay? You can see it's a little bit spongy to my grip. It doesn't really come out on video very well, but you can see it's quite thick. Okay, these are 4mm padded, which I tend to find work quite well for me. They just give a little bit of protection to the equipment if it gets knocked or something gets dropped on it. They also do a 10mm padded, so if you're in an environment where the keyboard is likely to get something dropped on it or bashed, then maybe you want to go for the 10mm. They make the keyboard covers in a variety of colours. I go for red because I like red. Paula Penguin, who has two of my keyboards at her house, she has these covers in royal blue, and I must admit they look rather nifty in blue as well. But she has blue. But they do a number of other colours as well. You can just go on the website and tell them what colour you want, and they will make those up for you. So there you go, there's the keyboard covers. So in terms of racking, how much? So what you see here on this side here, around about 500 quid. UK, I suppose that's what, $750. But that's for everything. That includes the keyboard mounts, the racks, the clamps, the lot. So that's one side. So, and that's the reason I've done it is because there's quite a lot of money in here, and I don't want it dropping on the floor. And the keyboard covers themselves for a standard keyboard. What did I just pay for that? I think I've just paid £40 plus shipping. Okay, so I don't know, $60 roughly for them. But they do protect the keyboard. I mean, one of the worst things for keyboards, and people don't really realise this, is household dust or studio dust, or if you're on the road, people pouring drinks in them. So you know, just having a cover on your keyboard just gives it an extra level of protection. The other thing I found when I was gigging, and I don't do it anymore as you know, but when I was gigging, what I did find is if you have a keyboard cover on a keyboard, people don't fiddle with the settings. Anyway, that's personal experience. The next thing I'm going to just carry on with, and I just put it down. Where did I put it? Boom, 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 boom. I had it in my hand, then I had it in my hand. So a couple of weeks ago I said, look, I won this, cheeky bid, I won this sustain grip. So this is the DX7 cartridge for sustain. Okay, there's the cartridge in there, the booklet is actually there. Okay, so that's all pretty much mint, which is good, given the fact that this is 30 odd years old. So this week, a cheeky bid again, and I've won the VCR-1001, which is the decay group. So that's the sustain group, that's the decay group. And also won the VCR-1003, which is the percussion group. Now, I've never really heard percussion on a DX7 before. I'm sure that people did it, but I've never really heard it. I've never really played it. So again, cheeky bid. See what comes of that. They're on their way here today. In fact, I bought them from the US, so it's cost me a little bit of money in shipping, but it also takes about 10 days to get from the US to here. eBay's global shipping program seems to take longer than just sticking them UPS, but hey ho. On the terms of cartridges, I've said this before on the channel. I know how much I'm prepared to pay for a cartridge, and I look at eBay quite often. There's some cartridges on there I would buy, but I'm not prepared to pay. Some people have got them up for $300 or $400, and to be honest, they're not worth $300 or $400. They are at most worth £100 UK, so $140 I suppose. But most of the time, I'm only prepared to pay about £60 UK, so maybe up to about $90. And that's what I think you should be paying. Anybody who's selling them for much more than that, you want to probably just avoid it, because either one or two things will happen. Some muppet will buy it, fair enough, they've got more money than sense, or what will then happen is they will relist it, and they will either relist it at a lower value, or they would give you the option to make them an offer. And if you get the option to make an offer, go in with what you think they're worth, and you may win it. And that's how I won those two, because they were up for much more than £60. I went in and offered, I can't remember what it was, but it's equivalent of about £61 I think, and the guy on the other end accepted. So they're on their way here now. Wonderful. So my advice is, do not pay over the odds for this stuff. You know, there's people out there selling it. Don't pay over the odds for it, because all you're doing is lining somebody else's pocket, and it's not worth it. You know, these things are rotating. It's getting harder and harder to find stuff in good nick from 30 years ago, I have to be honest, but you know, it's still there. There's still people who look after their equipment and are willing to sell it on. Hey ho, as I say. And the final thing, as I said, I haven't been in the studio very much in the last couple of weeks, because I have actually been out and about with various things. Unfortunately, we're coming up to that time of the year where my day job, you know, the one that pays all the bills, everybody wants to clear the decks for Christmas, so that we ended up with a fairly clean sheet by the time we get to sort of starting the new year. So there's been a lot of stuff going on there. Friday night this week was the first of the work Christmas dues. I've actually got 4 work Christmas dues this year with different groups of individuals. So that was the first of them, was on Friday, which was Moulin Rouge. Very good. Enjoyed the evening. Music was a bit shite, but yeah, that's my personal view. Maybe I'm getting a bit old. All I did know is the next morning getting up to vacate the hotel by 11 o'clock was a little bit tough. Getting a very old John. And the other thing I went to see, and this is probably the reason why I didn't do this video last week, is I actually went to see Simply Red in concert. That was the final night of the Stars tour, and I have to be honest and say I loved every single minute of it. It was really good. You know, it sounds condescending when you say really good, but it actually was really good. It was at the O2, so they just played 2 nights at Wembley, so Friday and Saturday night they played at Wembley, and on Sunday they played the O2. And it was sort of, the O2 is a big venue. For those who don't know the O2 in London, it's a big venue. You know, it takes many thousands of people. But it actually felt quite like quite an intimate gig in the way it was sort of staged and the band approached it. So, you know, Mick sort of did his normal stuff, and he sort of came strolling on after the band had opened up with an instrumental. Came strolling on. You know, sang the first song, then he stopped and said, "This feels quite a weird night. It's the last night of the tour. It's Stars. It's 25 years since Stars came out, which I can't believe, but it is 25 years since Stars came out, which quite scary really when you think about it. So the band played the entire Stars CD from start to finish. But as he said, he came on and said, well, you know, that's only 40 minutes and we're not going to just leave you with 40 minutes. So what we're going to do is the first half of the show, we're going to do all the stuff from all the albums that we like playing. Okay? And everybody would love the stuff they like playing. It's all the stuff you know. You know, you can sing along with every single song. And that was the first half, and that was roughly about an hour. Then we had a 15-minute break, and they came on, and they started from the first track of Stars, and they went all the way through for another 50 minutes. And then they went off, and then came back on, and then they did another 4 tracks before they closed the night down. So really, really good. And all I can say is that Simply Red, Mick and the band he's got around him at the time, which includes some of the original Simply Red members, haven't lost any of it. They are still superb. He has still got that really, really defined Northern soul voice, which is what it's what defines that Simply Red sound, really, that Northern soul voice. So if they play anywhere near you, it is well worth the £100 to go and see them, and I really truly mean that. Simply Red are just worth seeing live. And looking back on it this year, I mean, there's probably various videos where I've said I went to so and so, I went to so and so. Done a lot of gigging this year, a lot more than I have done in previous years for various reasons. And I have to be honest and say that all the sort of bands from the 70s, well, not really the 70s, but the 80s and 90s that I've been to see this year, they are still as good as I remember them. They're tight, there's proper songmanship there in terms of what they're playing. The show is good. And, people turn around and say, well, why are they back on the, can't they just give it a rest? Well, personally, I don't want them to give it a rest because I actually enjoy going to see these guys live. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, you don't make any money from music sales now. The record industry in terms of selling an album is pretty dead. The millennials, and I apologise if you are a millennial and listen to this, but the sort of general view within the millennials is why pay for it when you can stream it for free. Which obviously then means that as a musician, the way you earn money is you actually earn money by turning up, standing in front of the audience and singing or playing or whatever it is you do in the musical industry. That's the way you earn money nowadays. You don't earn money from, generally releasing an album. An album is a I suppose now is a, using the word, portal into the live music environment, or something to support the live music environment. Anyway, that's Stars. Seriously good. Anyway, I'm going to go and have some breakfast now, because it is that early in the morning, and it's a balmy -1 where I live in the UK at the moment. They say it's going to get warmer later on, but hey ho, it hasn't done so far. Hopefully by next week I will have spent more time here, and I will spend more time doing the other stuff that I intend to do. I've got a whole raft of stuff that I want to do in terms of videos and tutorials where people have asked me stuff on the channel. I go, oh yeah, I know how to do that. I just need the time to sit down and crank it out for you guys, so you can actually see or get my wisdom on some of this stuff. Not saying my wisdom is worth it, but if you're watching the channel, some people obviously think my wisdom is worth something. Anyway, the other thing, the final thing is I've been watching some YouTube channels recently, okay, or some videos on YouTube, and they always end by saying, don't forget to like this video if you really enjoyed it, and leave details of subscription. And I just think, you complete plank. But I sort of understand why they do it. I don't care if you like my videos or you don't like my videos, okay? I'm giving you what I think is my view on the world, on the keyboards, on the industry, on how to do stuff. So if you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, sayonara. It's personal choice. And on that note, see you next week. Bye bye.